According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, which is a government agency devoting to keeping track of prison populations in the United States has less than 5% of the world's population, but 20% of the world's prison population. That means that with 2.3 million people incarcerated in the United States, we have 1 in 5 prisoners in the world housed right here. Additionally, according to the Prison Policy Initiative in 2019, 6 out of 10 people in the United States jails, nearly 500,000 people, are still awaiting trial in jail. So a big component of our criminal justice system is this system of cash bail. And today I'm going to be advocating for a change in that system. So real quick, I'm going to go over what that is. When someone is arrested with the cash bail system, cash bail is used as a guarantee that the defendant is going to come back to trial. And if the defendant is able to pay their bail amount or is not able to pay their bail amount, they're having to use a private bail company. And that private bail company might charge 10 to 15% premium. So for example, in Watauga County, if they charge a $10,000 bail, the company may charge a $1,000 premium to put up that bail amount. And if defendants don't have the funds to pay for that premium, they sit in jail awaiting their trial. And it's a growing problem in the United States. Leon Dygard with the Vera Institute of Justice in 2016, which is a scholarly organization devoted to criminal justice reform, found that pretrial populations increased 433% from 1970 to 2015. And that growth, they state, is in large part due to increased use of monetary bail. So I furthermore argue that it is discriminatory, that the use of cash bail is discriminatory. Many judges set unaffordably high bail amounts, even in local Watauga County, in order to keep suspected offenders in jail. So it does discriminate against people that don't have the means to pay for this cash bail, and disproportionately affects people of color, and it perpetuates this system of inequality that we all know. In 2019, the Prison Policy Initiative's Wendy Sawyer, who's a criminal justice academic and the research director at the Prison Policy Initiative, found that the pretrial population is disproportionately Black and Hispanic, and it's more than doubled in the past 15 years, that those populations being held before their trial has doubled in the past 15 years. And Black and Hispanic Americans, furthermore, she found, are more likely to be stopped by police and are much more likely to be unable to pay those bail amounts if they go to jail. So it's disproportionately affecting people of lower income. According to Christine Mitchell, who's a doctor of science and a researcher of criminal justice, in 2020, she published in the Human Impact Report that among all the people that are held before trial being convicted of a crime, 90% of those are of the poorest Americans in the United States. So it shows that this is disproportionately affecting people that are the poorest of Americans. So today I'm going to advocate for policies that are shown to work across the country, have shown to work in Washington, D.C., for example, with the Pretrial Service Agency. In Washington, D.C., with the Pretrial Service Agency, it's widely regarded as the gold standard for pretrial detention. And so while cash bail is still legal in Washington, D.C., it's used very rarely, and 80% of the defendants are released solely on their word that they're going to come back to their court date. And 90% of those people that are released actually do come back. And so that's actually better than the national average and better than local averages even here in Watauga County. So we can show that bail does not have to be set in order to bring people back to court, and that it actually be done without cash bail at a better than national average. And the counter argument to the implementation of this kind of pretrial service agency and not using cash bail is that the implementation of this kind of agency is going to cost so much money, and it's going to increase the bureaucracy, and it's going to have to increase the budget dramatically for these type of programs. But the director of the Pretrial Service Agency in Washington, D.C. in 2014 actually commented on this, saying that perhaps the best reason for any jurisdiction to provide such necessary funding for effective pretrial service is that anything less actually costs more. So her response to that counter argument is that anything less actually costs you more in the long term. So it's actually better for your budget to spend the money on the front end than in the long term have to spend more. And Lastly, I'm going to leave you with a local piece of action. Everyone needs to go out. You can make these changes if you're passionate about them locally. If you're passionate about implementing these kind of changes, get involved in your local criminal justice system, or make sure that you vote for elected officials or volunteer for local elected officials that have the same values as you do and want to implement these kind of criminal justice reforms. Here in Watauga County, there's a number of different things you can do. You can work for the Watauga County Democratic Party. You can work for the Watauga County Republican Party. You can work for ad litem in the criminal justice system and get a better intimate idea of what the inner workings are like. But there's a number of different things here locally you can get involved in that you can initiate change if you're passionate about. And the last thing I'm going to say that you can do is you can run for local office or run for elected office, if you please, to change those policies and rules that perpetuate this kind of discrimination in our criminal justice system. Lastly, we can do this. It's been done before across the country and across different cities and states in the country, and we just have to aspire to be a more equal society, and this is one step forward to doing that. So thank you so much. Have a good day.